Hello, I am DevUndead and I welcome you to my devlog about Legend of a Soul Hunter. What has happened since the last devlog? A lot has happened since the last devlog, and a lot of new features have been added to make the game world more alive. So let me show you what has changed. Before, don't forget to check out the game on Steam if you like what you see. The link is in the description. Old Library Dungeon. I continued to work on the second dungeon. Unfortunately, I didn't get as far as I wanted because I had to implement some important things. You can see that later. But I made good progress with the concept of the dungeon, which plays with magic and has many special puzzles. In addition to the fact that some things can be shown and hidden, a very large part of the dungeon can also be influenced. Despite the fact that the concept of the dungeon only has 4 levels, but actually plays in a large tower, it has the feeling of being in a tower through the many stairs. With the dungeon item, you will be able to unlock even more special puzzles. It got a lot of inspiration from Ocarina of Time and the Zelda games on handheld consoles. Originally, I had the idea to work with pictures, similar to Super Mario 64. You should then walk around in a 2D world and change the structure of the dungeon in there. Unfortunately, however, this is too complex and I did not come up with any ideas how I should contribute this meaningfully. To use pictures simply as teleport I found too boring, although I wanted to describe the story of the world. But since it is a library, there are enough ways to explore the history of the world. Music. A very important element in games is the music, besides sound effect. It is another element that gets very little attention, although a game without music seems very boring. I have implemented this with areas, which, as soon as the player enters an environment, passes the event to a singleton. In my example, you can see 3 areas which play different music depending on how you enter. I have now distributed these in the actual game world so that you always get the correct music played. New species. An exciting and unique element for me in the Legend of Zelda games are the different species you interact with in the world. This does not mean opponents but friendly people. This is something I absolutely want to have in my game. So I make concept for 2 species that I want to share with you. I want to start with the snowfolk, which can be found mainly in the north. The snowfolk is based on the Eurasian eagle owl, which for me is a very intelligent and mysterious animal. These qualities I have incorporated into my concepts, so the owls are an intelligent and knowledgeable hungry folk. Therefore, they live for science and also have points of contact with magic. They don't let everyone into their territory. One must first prove to them that one is worthy to move and act in their territory. For outsiders, this seems first like a cult, but it's a kind of defense that you only recognize once you can explore more of it. The other species is the waterfolk. They like to live near water, and there are rumors about a small village in the sea. The species is based on ferrets, which are very playful animals. So I also wanted to transfer these characteristics, so the species is creative and playful. They are distributed as loners in different places in the world and like to get involved into the places. But you have to be careful, because they like to defend themselves with traps, which are not always so obvious. Point of interest. In order to better understand some puzzles and interactions, I decided to implement the point of interest. The character therefore looks for exciting points, which is special to look at. To make it look realistic, I have oriented myself on how humans deal with such points. Although we often have several points in our field of vision, we concentrate on one. If something new comes into our field of vision, we orient ourselves to it, as it could be a danger. But if we focus heavily on something, for example in a fight, you don't change the focus away from the target. Lock on target. Another topic I had to tackle was the implementation of the lock on target concept. It is now possible for the player to focus on a target and the camera is focused on the target. This makes it easier for the player to move in a fight and to fight more accurately. This idea is from a comment from a devlog, which makes me very happy. Implemented, it is a bit different than with point of interest. As soon as the player wants to focus, it is analyzed which targets are in a defined area. After that, these targets are sorted by distance and the focus is placed on the target that is closest to the player. If the player presses the button to change the target, the same logic is applied where the second target is selected after sorting by distance. If the button is pressed again to change the target closest to the player is selected again. Steam. A short while ago, I slightly revised the Steam page, mainly adjusted the images and creating a trailer. I have also uploaded the new trailer to YouTube, and if you are interested in it, I have it linked for you. Bow. The next item of the second dungeon is already known from various sources. It is the bow. This is not only interesting for combat, but it is also well usable for various puzzles. The bow makes heavy use of the lock on target, otherwise it is not useful. As in other games, the bow will also play a big role here. As you already guess in the inventory, there will be 3 types of arrows, with the bow unlocking the standard arrows. The 2 other types can later be unlocked in other ways. Soul Guard. In the previous trailer, a new creature was also visible, the Soul Guard. He is the source of why the chaos broke out in the game world and the 10 dungeons were created. He wears a hoodie and hides his face. His pure existence driven by the power of souls. How it came about, what drives him, and how he can be fought, you can find out yourself in the game. Alpha 9 and 10. Finally, I would like to mention that the 2 wonderful alphas of the Godot engine were released during development. What exactly has changed, I do not want to go into detail. I have packed the links to the news of both alphas into the description. But I would like to mention that in the Alpha 9, the names in the shader have changed slightly in the definition, which has destroyed some shaders. One positive thing is that in the Alpha 10, a script has been added for the first time, which allows projects created in Godot 3 to be ported to Godot 4. So if you have a project that you want to port, this should now be much easier. What are my plans for the coming weeks? The following things are planned to be implemented into the coming weeks. Continue with the library dungeon, creating concept for NPCs, add a damage indicator for better visual feedback. Thank you for your interest into the project. If you like what you see, follow this channel to see when a new devlog is uploaded and follow the progress of Legend of a Soul Hunter. And don't forget to wishlist the game on Steam. If you have an idea or want to ask something, feel free to leave a comment below the video. I will try to answer as soon as possible. Have fun and I see you in the next video. Bye!